Hello and welcome back to another Warhammer 3 video we have for today. In this video we'll be covering the changes made to the Lizardmen in update 6.3/beta, having its full release coming out next week on Thursday. And if you like my content, please like and subscribe to the channel, and with that, let's get into the video. The first of the changes to Lizardmen we'll be looking at is actually some of the starting effects have changed. Only about 4 though, and not to the extent of the Tomb Kings where they got most of theirs revamped. And the first of the 4 we'll be looking at is Lord Mazamundi. His starting army, just like the rest, has received no changes. His faction effects and lore effects have though, so we're going to read those off. Diplomatic relations -20 for all non-Lizardmen factions. Construction cost -40 for Star Chamber buildings. Right cost now -30%. Now his lore effects are targeting range +50 for spells. Miscast base chance +25% for all enemy spellcasters. Chance of winds of magic increasing in strength when changing province +20. And lastly, upkeep -30 for temple guard units. And that last one, many of you do know it used to be at 50, so it does seem like a bit of a nerf, but it's actually a buff because their economy has been, also buffed. So no longer do you really have to worry about it. So as much as this is a downside, I would say every lord on the list got at least a little bit of a buff. And next up, we're going to be going over his Gorak. His starting traits haven't really changed too much, but just for those who don't know, I'm still going to read them off. Right of Resilience, barrier defense bonus for Sauruses. Starts the campaign with control of Lord Croak. Barrier hit points +500 for all units when defending settlements, one of my favorite abilities. Defense supply +500 all regions. Lord effects, defense supply 100 per turn when under siege, all regions. Unit mass +15 and missile resistance +10 for Lord's army. They're pretty good, and sadly the only thing I noticed has really changed from 6.2 to 6.3 is this effect right here. Defense supply is 100 per turn. When under siege. It's pretty good, and I like what they're going for, but I think if we had the siege beta, this would be going a lot more smoothly for him. The lord who I'd say has the most changes besides Lord Mazamundi himself would be Nakai the Wanderer. He still has his horde abilities and his vassals to protect, but his biggest change is immune to diplomatic penalties from trespassing, which is shocking he didn't have before because he is called the Wanderer. So he wanders, and when he goes into other territory, even if they're friendly, if you don't have a pact with them, they're not going to be happy that you're on the territory. So by like turn 20 and you're just roaming around, you have like 10 factions declaring war on you. Hopefully that makes him more viable in the future and his campaign's a bit more fun. Lastly, we have Axiatel. I don't believe any of his faction effects nor lord effects have actually changed, but he's on here because they did add his Silent Sanctums and visions of the old ones on his starting screen, to where before these just weren't here. And for those who don't own the DLC or may not have played him for a while, his Silent Sanctums are just buildings within buildings, and his visions of the old ones is just like Arbal's Quest where you get to teleport around fighting people. But I don't believe anything has changed. But next we're going to be talking about the 9 new units they've added with the Blessed Spawn mechanic. Usually during these patches we would receive about 2 new free units similar to the Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower from the last update. But this time it's going to be a little different with us getting 9 new units, but heavy quotation marks. Because unlike previous units we've gotten over the year or so, these are just more blessed units, so it's just stats and upgrades, not really look or just completely new weapons. Which the first of which is going to be the Skink Cohort Javelins. The only difference between the Blessed Skink Cohort Javelins and their base version is that this has 6 ammunition instead of 3, and instead of poison it has armor sundering with armor piercing. Pretty good though, because especially they don't have archers or many ranged units in the early game, so this is a perfect choice if you don't have any other units to pick. Now we're on to the Blessed Chameleon Stalkers. They're very different from their counterpart. They only have about 32 units instead of 90, but all their stats have been buffed, and they've gained a whopping 100 to their missile strength, to where base it's only 67. And on top of that, they also have Unspottable, so if this unit can hide in its current location, it will not be spotted until the enemy is very close. So that just means they're very sneaky, a lot more sneakier than the rest, ironically enough. So these units I wouldn't call front line because their entity count is so low. What I'd really recommend is going behind units and like trying to take out their artillery or archers. Probably the best case use for them, but they're still pretty good. Next up we have the Blessed Riprodactyl Riders. Not too much has changed. They gained a little bit of health, more armor, and more attack. But their biggest change is that they have Devastating Flanker now. And with these stats increased, it makes them a lot more viable in combat. Especially even against Spearmen, they can win a 2v1, not too bad. I wouldn't say, great frontliners I mean, but they're great for the back line. Now we're on to one of my favorite units in the game. We have the Blessed Sacred Cutsagors. Not very much has changed between the base version and this version, but it's got a little bit more health, 40 plus armor, and its biggest change, 360 missile block. Probably one of my favorite additions to units is the 360 missile block. It really helps out monstrous infantry, because even if you're in the thick of the front lines, because you're taller than everybody else, you're still viable to getting hit by missiles. I would say this is one of the best blessed units because on top of them doing a bunch of damage already, now they have the protection to back it up. Now we're on to the blessed Terran Riders. So they have about a little bit more speed, a bit more health, but what has really changed is their melee attack now does blinded, and they also have anti-infantry. So on top of blinded, which does melee defense minus 24, melee attack minus 24, and accuracy minus 30, which is really good. I'd recommend using all their ammo, or maybe save it to try to dive bomb their archers, maybe use their bombs, but it gives them a lot more utility they didn't have before. So if they do run out of ammo, you can kind of feel confident throwing them into the fray. Now we're on to the Blessed Razordon Hunting Pack. They have a bit more health, a little bit more armor as well, but their main upgrades is their abilities. They have Wreathed in Thorns, passive ability, melee damage, reflection plus 14 forever, so whenever they get into a fight. Then we have Snipe, and then we have Stalk as well. So what you can do is you can kind of have them on the side trying to pick off units before their ammo runs out. And then once their ammo runs out, feel free to throw them into the fray. And still, they're a pretty good backline because unlike a lot of other units in the back, they won't be able to reinforce the front. These guys will. Onto their flaming counterpart, we have the Blessed Salamander Hunting Pack. What's really cool about them compared to their base versions is that their explosives got bigger, their health got bumped up a little bit, but their main difference is their anti-infantry instead of anti-at-large, which is cool because before they were already really good against infantry, but now I'd say they're great against infantry. Like, it could take out a spearman in like less than 30 seconds. Super fun to play. Hopefully this isn't everybody's army because this will just take care of any infantry problems you might have. I still want to throw them in melee, even though they're decent at it, but I wouldn't say as good as the Razordon pack. So again, just use their ammunition as much as you can till it's empty. Next up we have the Blessed Ancient Salamander. His change is that he's got a bit more health. He also has an ability called Aura of Emulation, weakness to fire plus 20, so whoever's in range about 55 meters. It's decent, but I'd recommend having multiple units with fire behind him just so he can get that full effect. And what makes him so special, he has shrapnel projectiles. So that sounds really cool, so it's like, oh, you'll get 2 or 3 shots out of 1. It does seem that way, but they seem to have like, must be really bad fall off damage, because it only does like at least half or even a third of the base unit damage. I'm assuming it's a bug. I've seen a few forums talk about it, so assume when the full release comes out for 6.3 next week that it will just be fixed, and this unit will be a lot better. Last but not least, for the new units, we have the Blessed Ancient Stegodon. It's got a bit more melee attack, a bit more health, it trades out its anti-infantry for anti-large, and lastly, what makes it so special is its missile strength. It has slow death effect and damage over time, so its damage per second is 11 to 22. It's really great for taking out really any unit because it basically just has a magic effect on it where over time it's just draining their health on top of the unit damage it's already dealing. So I'm a really big fan of it, probably right next to the new Kretzagors. I would say this is my favorite. And again, one of those things where you would rather have the Blessed version than the normal version. With the addition of 9 more Blessed units for Lizardmen, they've actually changed how you got them. No longer do you get a random mission and maybe you'll get 3 of a unit that you really want. Now you get a currency called Spawning Sequence. So you have commandments you can get them through, same thing with missions and rights. And you can go right back to the tab where it still is, like nothing has changed about this. But the way you recruit them is, so you have 2, like you can only get 2 at a time, but it's turn 7 and I can recruit any of these guys right away. So having them be way more available and way more, I guess, useful than they used to be really expands Lizardmen and actually being a versatile faction. Some other changes made to Lizardmen is actually with their building / economy. To where before their economic building, I believe, started at 100, now has 150, then goes to 300 and then 400 at tier 3. And then some of their big beasties have all been shuffled down so they're easier to get because you don't have people playing 100 turn campaigns. You have 50 turn campaigns, I mean. Their Dread Saurian now is at tier 4 and actually tier 5 building gives you 2 more. So per capital city now you have at least like 2 Dread Saurians no matter what if you build all this. And as well, their commandments have changed. Only 2, I believe, actually changed, and that's going to be the alignment of crafting. Increases the amount of spawning sequence earned by rights by 2%, growth plus 20, and income from buildings plus 4%. And then lastly, alignment of war. Spawning sequence plus 4 per turn, recruitment cost minus 15%, recruit rank plus 1, leadership plus 4, and weapon strength plus 6 in province. Again, really good changes. Hopefully makes them a little more tactical on the campaign map. Some other minor changes they've made, they've actually tweaked rights a little bit, which is kind of cool. So like Rite of Sotek has been buffed a little bit, same thing with Rite of Ferocity. Everything else has mainly stayed the same. I think the cost for everything went a little bit down. I think this one went a little bit up. And we're also going to put Nakai's on here as well, because his has changed, which is kind of cool that they're going back and looking at this and just making it a bit better. I'm a big fan of rights, so I'm happy with it. We also have new skills for every Lizardmen hero, and we have 3 unique lines for 3 heroes. So the first one we'll be going over is the hit points plus 5%, enables flaming attack as well. Then secondly, we have armor plus 5, upkeep minus 5 for Source Infantry and Temple Guard. Then we have upkeep minus 5 for flying units, spell resistance 5% for own army, that's really good. Diplomatic relations minus 2 for Dark Elves, ambush defense chance plus 5%, double experience gain when fighting Dark Elves. Then we have control plus 1 local province, wind recovery time minus 2. And then lastly, we have upkeep minus 5 for ancient salamanders, stegodons, basically any of the big beasties. And this line of skills are for every Lizardman hero, but then we have unique lines for 3, and the first one is going to be for the Saurus Scar veteran. And we have the first one, which is armor plus 10, casualty replenishment or plus 20 for this character, really good. Then we have favored by Sotek, ability lead by example, which is melee attack plus 5 and leadership plus 4 for anyone who's in a 35 meter range, and it also gives him passive ability frenzy. Then we have evolving resilience, vigor loss minus 50%, leadership aura size 25 when attacking. Then lastly, feared and ventured, recruit rank plus 1 for Saurus units, and missile resistance 5% for Saurus and temple guards. So you could have like 10 of these guys in your army, and it would give a bunch of missile resistance. Now we're moving on to the second hero. The second hero to have a new skill line is going to be the Skink Chief. It's going to be the first one is armor plus 10, leadership aura size plus 20. Then we have melee defense plus 5, and then bonus for the large plus 10. Then my favorite one of the Skink Chief, ability restock and range plus 5 for skink units in our army. That's really good because Lizardmen don't have many abilities to get restock besides items. Then lastly for the Skink Chief, we have unit mass plus 10 and attribute charge defense for large skink units. So that's pretty good, basically just buffing your skinks. I think the ability restock is probably one of the best skills you can get now. The next hero skill tree we'll check out is the Skink Priest. So we have Winds of Magic cost minus 10 for any spells that you might have, Winds of Magic power reserve capacity plus 5, and then we have hero action cost minus 25%, enemy hero action success chance minus 10%, then chance of Winds of Magic increasing strength when changing plus 10%, miscast base chance minus 10%, and then lastly spell resistance plus 10, and then spell resistance plus 5 for own army. So it's pretty good, but basically just kind of boost all the basic abilities and all your spells for Skink Priest. I like that they're adding new lines for them all. And the last hero skill tree we'll be looking at is a Skink Oracle. I know I said 3, but I actually meant 4. So his is going to be campaign movement range plus 20%, which is really good. Wind recovery time minus 1 for turn. Campaign line of sight plus 10%. Ambush defense chance plus 10%. A missile block chance plus 10. Barrier hit points plus 200. Enemy Winds of Magic power reserve capacity minus 5 and Winds of Magic cost minus 10 for all spells. I think this one's also really good. I'm a big fan of the hit points and block chance because this guy isn't a big dino, so he's going to be really easy to hit. I really do like the changes they've made. I also like that everyone gets their own choice at the bottom. They can just pick one. Again, I'm somebody who wishes I could pick them all, but better than nothing, you know? The last big change the Lizardmen will be checking out this video is actually their tech tree. It has had massive changes. I'm going to put on screen what it looked like before. It was very simple before, and you had to unlock buildings to unlock more technologies, which was never really that fun. Now it's just like everybody else's tech tree. I'm going to say what the developers say. They Warhammer 3ified it. I like it a lot more. They've also added these special ones down here, but we're going to look at that in just a second. We have the Great Plan and Cold-Blooded, so it's been divided in two. Cold-Blooded is just more of you have your skinks, you have your sauruses, your big beasties. Basically anything around here that monsters or infantry kind of gets boosted. And then the Great Plan is all economical and kind of campaign focused. Some is for battle, some abilities you might get. And ones that they've added down here is actually money, a lot like the Tomb Kings. We have the Sequence of Infiltration, enemy hero success chance minus 10%, and attribute stock all heroes, and that works if they're mounted as well. So you could have a giant boosted up beastie hide in the woods, get them from the behind, really good. And then Sequence of Scrying, hero action cost minus 15% all characters, and then hero action success chance plus 10%, hero capacity plus 2 for Skink Oracles. That's not too bad, Skink Oracles are really good. Sequence of Heroism, attribute immune to psychology all characters, wound recovery time minus 1 for all characters, and cooldown minus 10 to all spells, all armies. Again, these are really good, and these do require buildings. They're the only ones, kind of just reminiscent of how it used to be. And then lastly, we have Sequence of Stoicism, physical resistance plus 5% for lords and embedded heroes, and leadership plus 4 all characters. So in tandem, these are all really good. And now it's a lot more worth it because let's say if you want growth, you're just going to go into spawning. If you want more order stuff, you just, tablet to order and you just continue that way. Cold Blooded is really nice because now, instead of, building the skink building and waiting to build another building for 5 things, now you can just get it right away and now you just, like everybody else, just wait your turns. I think this is probably one of the best changes this update. I've been begging for them to just please fix the tech tree. And it's not the only thing they fixed. They've also fixed Nakai's tech tree, and we're going to get into his right now. Unlike the base Lizardmen faction tech tree, I wouldn't say Nakai's has changed like drastically, where each one of them is a little bit different. They've kind of just shuffled it around, making it a lot more organized. They did boost a few of them, but like I said, not as many as the Lizardmen one, or the base one I mean. But yeah, I really like how they did it. I like the Horde Expands artwork, and they have changed a few, like Sequence of the Prowling has like a different color compared to the base one. So I like it. It's just the little things that make Warhammer better. It's just the spice of life. I'm a big fan of it though. Hopefully this, makes Nakai a little bit better because he was definitely lacking before this update. That's going to be it for the video. I really like the Lizardmen changes. Hopefully we get a geometric web update pretty soon. If I missed anything, please let me know down below. I tried to get everything I could from the patch notes and what I could see in the game. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Liking and subscribing means a lot to me. It helps the channel out. Again, thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the future.